All right, let's get started with our GitHub manual test for the Mac OS version of Brave web browser. I'm going to go ahead and navigate to GitHub. And utilize 1Password here. Okay, perfect. I'm going to navigate to the wiki here, and we are going to go to manual test here. So I have a manual test template set up for testing the Mac OS version. I've already submitted an issue in GitHub here to go ahead and work on this. So we're going to navigate that way towards that. There we go. Okay. Let's see here. The manual test template reads, copy this to a new issue on each release. This should run on for Mac OS, Windows 64, Windows 32, and a Linux distro for each release. So right now we are going to be testing this on the Mac operating system, or Mac OS. So the first bit of manual template, test template, on the first run through, it says the installer. Check the installer is close to the size of the latest release. Let's see here. Brave test.dmg. So it's 113 megs, which, you know, I let's see here. We would have to. I'm guessing. I don't know. It would be nice that it had if it had like a link somewhere to a separate link that linked back to the latest release. Would make it easier for newer people to navigate to that latest release to download. But I'm sure we can find it here. So let's see. Let's see. Yeah, so browser is where we want to go. And for these desktop environments, it looks like Brave/browser laptop would be the place to navigate to. Um, okay, so we can see our release page here, and it should be 0.14 here. So it looks like this particular version of Brave I am not, whoops, this particular version of Brave I am not running correctly. So let me go here. I think I already downloaded it, so that was a good manual test check, but maybe more clarity in the beginning of where to navigate in the GitHub page in order to find the correct version of Brave. Here we go. This seems more like it. Check this out. Nope, still 13.5. So I'm going to go ahead and download the correct version here. Go back to Brave. And we'll go back to GitHub. And browser. And browser laptop. Release page. And we'll get this DMG file here. Boom. Pop that into downloads. Okay, here we go. Place. So I need to not be running an instance of Brave when I'm getting the newest version here. Okay, so should already be in applications here. So today at 8:08. Okay, so perfect. We are at version 14 here. So I'm going to go ahead and, oops, not Chrome. We want to go to GitHub here. And actually, probably easier if I go to my issues here. Okay. So we'll right check the installer. Okay, so we need to so the size of the latest release. So actually I think I might have skipped something here. So it's 114 megs. Um, so let's navigate back to browser laptop here, and we will go ahead and check the browser release. I guess I was back there already. So let's see here. Okay, so back to our releases page. So I did the DMG file, so it's 109 megs, and the disk image is saying that I have on file is 114 megs. So that is an issue that we're going to notate. I usually have a notepad nearby just to document this, so we'll have to go back and go back here. And it's close, so check the installer's close. So 109 versus 113 megs. I mean that's a not too bad of a difference. What is that, like 4? Um, so we'll go ahead and check that off. So now we're going to go on to the next step. It's check the signature. If OS runs, and it's got this kind of command line terminal, I guess assess, and make sure it returns accepted. So we're doing this on Mac OS, so I am just going to highlight this, Command C, open up my terminal here, and if we get a return accepted and correct, okay, perfect. So that's pretty straightforward. So maybe for newer people, we may want to add something like, you know, for particular versions, I guess, you know, if OS run, that might be like if on Mac OS or Linux uses the terminal, if Windows, I'm just continue that because that may be a little confusing to newer people. Let's see. So check Brave, Muon, and libchromium content version in and about and make sure it is exactly as expected. So this is not really giving me too much detail about so we're just gonna go ahead and do it, and so we are here. So I don't know what exactly is to be expected. I guess you would just want to, yeah, I don't know, maybe go and Google latest version of Muon and go through there and try to find it that way and try to track down what the latest version is. Um, but then is that the version that's supposed to be expected? I'm not sure. I really don't know. Um, so maybe we would need to make that clearer. So notate that installer check Brave check content to make sure. Okay. Um, okay. So last change test what is covered by the last change set. You can find this by clicking on the SHA in About Brave. So About Brave. So again, not very clear here. What's my latest change? You can find this by clicking on the. Yeah, I'm not quite understanding what that means. Um, so it tells me to. If I'm a new person, I'm not quite sure what is happening here as far as this. Um, I'm sure once I talk to somebody about this, they can explain it, and I'll be like, oh. But if I'm a brand new person, I really don't know what's happening with this last change set test. So maybe a little bit clearer explanation there. Let's see. Latest change test. Okay. Um, let's move on. Test closed issue to which QA tests specified were added to the release that were going out. So I assume these are issues that were happening before they were patched or fixed by the QA team and the Brave development team. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, figure out to get a better idea of what was happening. Okay, so this is pretty lengthy here. So this seems pretty self-explanatory. I think um, that if you went through all these issues, I mean everything's pretty well documented in here, and so then you would go and recreate pretty much all these issues. So if you're doing, just a certain operating system version like Mac OS, obviously I clicked on here. That one looked to be I don't know, it looks like it's checking all of the operating system versions, but looks like they may have had an issue in Windows. So, but yeah, so you would go through each of these. Multiple homepage not working. And then you would just test these out in the latest release version and then kind of go from there. So I'm going to say that's pretty quick and easy here. So, uh, test if you can log into Netflix and start a show. Pretty self-explanatory. Um, I don't think that really needs any fixing here. Okay, so we have a ledger. Click the Add Funds button. Check the Coinbase transactions are blocked. All right, let's go preferences. So maybe some specification on the ledger to add where the wallet is for preferences. Um, Again, I mean, probably not really needed. Most people testing will be able to do this without. Um, so add funds. I'm not sure what that means. Check if Bitcoin transactions are blocked. Um, so we'll continue here. Maybe more clarification on that. Ledger. Okay, so remove all the ledger.json files from that directory, which is library slash application backslash space support slash forward slash brave forward slash. So we want to check that the add funds button appears after the wallet is created. So that seems like it might be not too difficult here. So let me go ahead and cd into that environment. ls. Let's see. So I've got the ledger, different versions of ledger.json. This may be my own inexperience in using terminal command or command line language or command line instructions and not just knowing enough. But does that star, that universal star, indicate like all of the ledger files here in JSON that have a JSON or .json extension at the end? I'm not sure. That may need some clarification. And again, this is just speaking from if you're coming from this from a potential noob background and you're trying to get into QA. So um, let's do ledger.json. So yeah, maybe clarify that a little bit more, be more specific. Um, So this is pretty straightforward. Click on add funds and verify that adding funds through Coinbase increases the account balance. Um, so again, if we're testing the software, repeat the step above, but add funds by scanning QR code. That seems pretty straightforward. We're doing it through Bitcoin. And then make sure that the New York Times is showing up in the payment table, which again, that could be even much more clear just to get people moving on this quicker. And as you can see here, New York Times is on there. So if I was actually running a manual test, I would go ahead and check that. Let's go navigate to, Should open new tab. That seems pretty straightforward, these instructions. Go to JS Fiddle, click the Register button in the Payments tab, click Add Funds, verify the Transfer Funds button is visible by clicking on Transfer Fund. That seems pretty reasonable. Verify the Transfer Funds button. Let's see here. Verify you are able to sync two devices using the secret code. Let's see. So that would be by sync. And I would go scan this. So that may be another. So if it's syncing a new device, is it syncing between just browsers, or is it syncing between the mobile browser application? If so, then there needs to also be an instruction set, instructions for how to sync with your mobile device to your browser laptop. So you may be able to just, these may be just instructions, or as far as I can infer, these may be instructions just to sync from one desktop version to another desktop version. So maybe some clarification about that. Um, Enable browsing history sync. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause OBS here and just make sure I'm kind of on the right track with what I have for testing out these, or writing, I guess, more recommendations as to how to make this clearer for first-time QA testers. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this.